Rams finally ascend to the top spot. It was hard to get them there based on the fact that the Eagles had beat them head to head. But now that the Eagles have fallen off of that first quad box right there, it's hard to deny. The Rams look so good on Sunday night. They dismantled the Buccaneers team, who, by the way, is going to still moonwalk to the NFC South championship. Like, the NFC South stinks, and look at the Buccaneers' remaining schedule. But it was really impressive by the Rams. It's hard to find a weakness. I will say this, though. The Rams are the number one team right now. Deserve it. Fully deserve it. They could win a Super Bowl. They also might not win the NFC West. I mean, the two best teams in the NFL probably play in the same division this year. It is going to be really, really fun to watch that race the rest of the year. But yes, the Rams, look, Matthew Stafford should be MVP right now. As much as I love touting non-quarterbacks for the award, it's Stafford's to lose at this point. The defense is great. The receivers are awesome. Like, the coach is awesome. Like, there's nothing to pick holes with the Rams right now. They are the number one team right now.
So, Frank, let me ask you this question then, because I've gotten some grief in our production meetings. Our great producer, Mike Goldfarb, mentions it all the time. This is his statement he always makes. The Rams are clearly the best team in the NFL. And I am the one in the show meetings every time that says, well, I don't know if it's clearly. Like, I really like the Seahawks. So for you, how clear is it that the Rams are better than the Seahawks today?
Yeah, and it's funny because everybody's got the Rams number one this week, and I get that. We forget, it's 18 one-game seasons. That's what we do when we cover the NFL. We forget that 9 days ago, the Seattle Seahawks in Los Angeles, after throwing 4 interceptions, lined up for a field goal to beat the Rams on the last play of the game. Like, they were that close. And Jason Myers missed a 61-yarder. It happens. But they were that close to, we were sitting here talking about, nobody can beat the Seahawks. They just went in, they threw 4 interceptions, and they beat the Los Angeles Rams in their house based on one play. Like, that's how the NFL goes. We switch. The narratives just completely flip every single week. So don't count out the Seahawks. The Seahawks are a really, really good football team. Rams have some tiebreaker advantages going forward if they, if the Seahawks even win in week 16. If the Rams win the rest of their games, they win the tiebreaker in the NFC West. But clearly, they're not clearly the best team in the NFL because they're not clearly the best team in the NFC West. Remember, again, 21-19 just 9 days ago in LA told me that the Seahawks are right there with the LA Rams.
I mean, the Seahawks could have won that game, but they didn't. Important to point that out as well. One team that was at the top of your power rankings last week, not even in the top 4. So let's see where they are in this next grouping. The Eagles at 5, down 4 spots. The Colts, after losing to the Chiefs, down 3. Green Bay Packers up 2 at 7. The Detroit Lions down 1 at 8. Frank, I've been saying this Eagles team is kind of like the check engine light on my car. It's like it's up there for so long, and you ignore it, and you're like, my car will be fine, everything will be fine. I don't want to go to the auto body shop, and then all of a sudden your car breaks down, and it's like, well, I had those warning lights there. It's kind of felt like that's how the Eagles have been, and that finally came to fruition against the Dallas Cowboys.
That is so good. I'm going to steal it at some point. That is
Please
really,
do.
really good, Caroline. Hats off. That's fantastic because you're absolutely right. I did ground them a little bit, moving them down 4 spots. Even though the Eagles are still a really good football team, but blowing a 21-zip lead like they did, against a Dallas defense that has really not been good all season. I get it. They're better with Quinnen Williams. Great. Awesome. You still should not go like your last 9 possessions without scoring after you take a 21-zip lead. Saquon Barkley had the chance to close this game out. He had 22 yards on 10 carries. The 482 touches from last year that we all predicted were going to come back and bite Saquon Barkley. He's going to have a bunch of regression. That has come to pass. He is just not the same player this year, and that really sets back their offense. Jalen Hurts hasn't looked good. Their offensive play calling is not good. Like, there are a lot of things not to like about the Eagles, but I still will say it's not a bad football team. Like, this team could still win a Super Bowl. Like, that's how crazy this Eagles season is. And I've talked about this. We've talked about this. It is the unhappiest championship good team I've ever seen. Like, it just seems like there's no joy. There's no celebration. It's just every day. It just seems like they just hate coming to work. Like, everything is bad about the Eagles. They're still 8-3. They're still going to blow out the Bears on Friday. We'll get to the Bears and how Chicago hates me. But yes, the Eagles are still fine, but I had to move them down after that. That's a bad loss. Like you said, the warning signs were there, and it finally came back to bite them.
What about, before we move on this one, shout out to my buddy Steve. Steve texted the group of guys on Sunday, Lions fan, diehard Lions fan. And Steve said, our window's shut. We missed out on our opportunity for the Super Bowl. We're getting outcoached by the Giants, and this team sucks. Like, where are the Lions a Super Bowl caliber football team this year?
I'll say yes, because when it's good for them, it's really good. We've seen their top gear dropping 52 on the Bears, for example. Like we could see, like, okay, this is the Lions we expect. This is the Lions from last year, all that kind of stuff. But when it's bad for them, it's really bad. Like if Jamar Gibbs wasn't Superman on Sunday, they're going to lose at home to Jameis Winston and the Giants. Like if the Giants just take a field goal late in the fourth quarter, as Malik Neighbors pointed out, they probably beat the Lions. If Jake Bates' a field goal doesn't bend to the left suddenly, like I've never seen a field goal bend before after 59 yards out, they lose to the Giants at home. I still think it was a little bit of a look ahead. I think that they're so focused on this Packers game that there was a little bit of a, okay, we're going to beat the Giants, but we're really focused on the Packers on Thanksgiving. But we'll see. If the Lions can't definitively beat the Packers, and I know the Packers are a good team, but this is a revenge game for them. This is a home game for them. This is a Thanksgiving game. The crowd's going to be into it. Everything points to the Lions should take care of business on Thursday. And if they don't, that's at the point where I'm going to say this team just ain't got it this year, at least as far as the Super Bowl contender goes.
Let's get to then the controversial. This is going to be the most controversial grouping of the entire power rankings here. The next four, because Frank, you've got the Chiefs at 9, up 1. You've got the Ravens, who look like garbage, beating the Jets, up 1. You've got the Bills down 3, and then the Bears 8-3. The Bears just sitting there for you. Why do you hate Chicago, Frank?
I do, as I talked about it inside coverage yesterday. The state of Illinois, they just got their investigative tools out, their powers of observation, used all their brain power in that state. Now that they've moved on from the Cubs losing to the Brewers in the NLDS, and they figured out on
Illinois catching strays.
They figured out I'm bald because of the 700, 800 comments on that Instagram post of me calling the Bears frauds. Like 699 of them pointed out that I don't have hair. Like, I don't know this. I get it. That's when you got nothing else to say, that's what you go with. And Bears fans do have nothing else to say. They celebrated a 3-point win over Mason Rudolph and the Steelers at home. Like, okay, we've arrived. We're here. The Bears' best win all season. Best. The only win all season against a team with a better than 500 record was that win by 3 points at home against the Steelers. That's all they have on their resume right now. They have won 6 close games, I believe, by 5 points or less. They should have lost to the Giants a couple weeks ago. They almost lost to the Steelers at home on Sunday. I'll say this, and you talked about this in the previous segment, and I do agree. Go and beat the Eagles on Friday. I'll take it all back. I won't call you frauds anymore. I won't say you're out over your skis. I won't say you're going to lose 5 of your last 6 to miss the playoffs. Anything like that, I'm done. I won't say it. Go beat the Eagles. Prove yourself. Because that Eagles, I think, are still a pretty good team, but they're vulnerable. You could beat them if you think you are who you are. If you think you're this 8-3 quality team, okay, go beat the Eagles. We'll see.
That's my approach with the Bears. I got to see it to believe it. Show it to me, and then I'll believe. Another just poor, downtrodden, lack of success. Just been so sad all season long. Chiefs fans, man, they are so deprived of anything good in their lives, aren't they?
Tough life.
The Chiefs, so hard for Chiefs fans. Oh, I'm playing the world's Chinese violin. Chiefs up 1 at 9, but 3 spots below the team that they just beat in the Indianapolis Colts. What more do you need to see from the Chiefs? Are you believers in the Chiefs after that late game comeback magic seemed to be back?
I think my favorite stat of the week, which I wrote about this morning a little bit, is the Chiefs right now. I hope to get the numbers right at BetMGM. The Chiefs are plus 475 to win the AFC West, which is pretty big underdog, right? They are also the favorites to win the AFC period at plus 475. The exact same odds to win the division as they are to win the AFC. Odds makers have not given up on the Chiefs, and I still think they're a good team. Like the fact that the Colts lost this game on the road in overtime doesn't make me downgrade the Colts too much, but you do want to close out a game where it's 20-9. But the Chiefs still have this magic where they're just going to pull. We saw it finally. They win a close game. I think, like I just talked about the Lions having a proving game on Thanksgiving, I think the Chiefs have one too. All of a sudden, the Cowboys, we're going to talk about them in a little bit. They're kind of alive. Like they're a little bit pep in their step, right? Like Cowboys, we can go beat anybody. We just beat the Eagles. The Chiefs come to town. That's pretty much a fork in the road for the Chiefs. Like if you win that game, all of a sudden, yeah, you're probably making the playoffs at that point. Like we're all back on board. The Chiefs are a dangerous team. But if you lose that game, okay, now you're kind of set back. So I kind of hedged my bets a little bit here with the Chiefs. I do think they're a very good team. I don't think they're much worse than they were last year. As much as the record is much different, they just the only difference is they're losing close games this year. They won close games last year. The quality of play on the field's about the same for the Chiefs, and I still think they're going to make the playoffs and be a team absolutely nobody wants to play in January.
That's going to be the worst gift that somebody gets for winning their division and getting home field advantages. Hosting Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. Yeah, here's your nice little reward for doing.
Good luck, Patriots. Here, yeah, you get you're back into playoffs. You get Patrick Mahomes in the first round. Oof. Oh.
Yeah. T's and P's. Hope you have fun with that one. All right, let's get to the next grouping. A team that we just saw on Monday Night Football last night. The 49ers at 13. Jags up 1. Chargers up 1. The Bucks down 2 at 16. We saw a truly disgusting performance from Brock Purdy last night. A 3-interception performance against the Panthers. And really, honestly, it could have been more if their DBs had better hands. Permission to overreact here. Are the 49ers better off with Mac Jones than they are Brock Purdy?
No, I'm not going there yet. But I started to take a little bit of my victory lap on Twitter yesterday. Just kind of felt it out a little bit of the whole, because Fitz knows this better than anybody because we did inside coverage for so long. I said over and over and over again, Brock Purdy's a good quarterback. He's good in their system. You should not pay Brock Purdy because Kyle Shanahan can find somebody to basically be Brock Purdy. Kyle Shanahan's a cheat code here, not Brock Purdy. And now we're sitting here talking about, well, maybe Mac Jones should get in the game. Yeah, I talked about this. They should pay Brock Purdy $53 million when Kyle Shanahan is maybe the best offensive coach of football. Like that just made no sense to me. And we're kind of seeing that. But no, they're not benching Brock Purdy. They're not better off of Mac Jones. I still think your best shot is with Brock Purdy. You've already paid him, so that's already done for. So you got to go with Brock Purdy. I don't think he's a bad quarterback by any means, but I think he's pressing a little bit. And I just think we're going to get to a point too, by the way, where the 49ers are going to have to kind of reset their roster because of that contract a lot of ways. And I look at they're right now by week 17, 18, they're going to be playing the weekend at Bernie's thing with Christian McCaffrey. They're going to be dragging him out there and be like, here, put the ball in your chest again for 38 more times. I can't believe how they're using Christian McCaffrey this year. But to me, that signals like Christian McCaffrey ain't going to be there next year because they're going to have to dump some of these really, really big salaries. So they're really making a run for it this year. I don't know they got the defense to do it. You just kind of happened to play the Panthers last night, and they're terrible offense yesterday. My goodness, the Panthers were awful last night. So I think the 49ers are still just one of those teams. They're going to be in the wild card round. They're going to be dangerous. But to your point, they're going to need better play for Brock Purdy if they're going to even win a game in the playoffs or even make the playoffs. If he continues to play like this, they might get tripped up by a team they shouldn't get tripped up by.
Yeah, and Frank is right. We argued many times about whether or not to pay Brock Purdy, and Frank looks like he was right on that debate too, at least so far. It's early. Let's get to the next grouping of 4 that we've got here because we have this one has some interesting teams in it. You've got the Texans at 17, the Cowboys at 18, the Steelers 19, the Panthers 20. Texans, They have a shot at the playoffs in your mind. They've got the Jags and they've got the Colts left in front of them.
Yeah, and it's all there for them. And the one thing I will say is that's the best defense in football. I mean, and I had been saying that before. They absolutely obliterated the Bills. Like that was one of the more impressive defensive performances you're going to see. Like they just got after Josh Allen. Josh Allen got sacked 14 times all of last season. He got sacked 8, 9 times on Thursday night. Like they were just all over him. And that's what they've done all season. DeMeco Ryans is a really, really good coach. They have a lot of talent on that side. I still worry about the offense. I do. Like they just have trouble in the red zone. They have trouble protecting the quarterback, although it's getting better. I just don't know if they're going to be consistent enough on offense to make the playoffs, but that defense gives them a chance. You got to kick somebody out of the playoffs if you're going to put the Texans in it. I don't really know who they get. Maybe it's the Jaguars. Maybe they get over the Jaguars because of that head-to-head win when they stormed all the way back to beat them with Davis Mills in the fourth quarter, and then you beat the Jaguars in their place and get the tiebreaker. I could maybe see that happening. I could see the Chargers maybe falling apart with their offensive line in shambles, but I don't know. The Texans have a playoff quality defense, and I'm not sure about the rest of it, and they've dug themselves kind of a hole. It's going to be they're the team. They're really kind of the team to watch in the AFC down the stretch here to see if they can make a run for the playoffs and knock somebody out. Maybe it's the Chiefs. Who knows?
Let's stay in Texas though, Because after the Cowboys beat the Raiders, I said, okay, that's great. That's the Raiders.
Yeah,
And then
right,
they beat the Eagles. And then my interest was instantly piqued. Are the Dallas Cowboys a playoff team?
No, not playoff team. I just don't think they're consistent enough. And there's a lot of teams ahead of them in the NFC. The NFC's deep and it's good. And
Stacked.
again, you got to play the game of, okay, who do you kick out of the playoffs? All right, even if the Bears fall apart, like I think they might, like they still have 8 wins already. Like there's still a big lead in the race for a lot of these teams in the NFC. But I will say the Cowboys are playing a lot better since they got Quinn Williams. I think they're getting a little bit of confidence. And I hate to move the goalposts and say, all right, beat somebody. Oh, you beat the Eagles. All right, I'll do it again. But go beat the Chiefs. If you beat the Chiefs, I'm willing to have this conversation. Until then, I'm like, I don't really know if they're a playoff contender, just because, again, they dug themselves a hole and so many teams got so far ahead of them in the NFC. But hey, beat the Chiefs on Thanksgiving, and we'll talk about it next Tuesday, because that will be the statement of, all right, Dallas is ready to make a push here, and they might. All these wild card contenders in the NFC got to keep an eye on Arlington, Texas, to see that team in its rearview mirror.
Put up or shut up time for lots of these teams that we're going to see this weekend. But let's get into the bottom third of the NFL, the next grouping of Frank's rankings. We have the Dolphins up 1, the Falcons up 3, Vikings down 3, Bengals down 2 at 24. Does Joe Burrow coming back change anything, or to what extent does Joe Burrow coming back change things for you for the Bengals?
Yeah, and I could have put them higher because Joe Burrow does change things, but I just look at this team as just so flawed. Like that defense is not good, and but to Fitz's point from a while ago, I tried to avoid it because I'm digging this hole on the Ravens, right? Like I've said already they're winning the AFC and they're my team and they're going to be in top 5 soon and blah blah blah. And you're right, every week I'm like, oh, the Ravens, this isn't very pretty. Like, why can't you blow out the Jets? Why am I sweating this game? This isn't good. I will say, like, I'm going to be watching that game on Thanksgiving night, not because I think the Bengals can get back in the race, because they can't. They got 8 losses already. That ain't happening, especially with that defense. But they get to play spoiler down the stretch, and I can't put it past them to. They're going to be fired up. They're going to be excited. We got our quarterback back. We can compete. I can't put it past them to beat the Ravens on Thanksgiving night, the way the Ravens have played and just barely beaten these bad teams. So that's an interesting game from that aspect, and that's why the Bengals are interesting going forward. Not because they're going to make a playoff push, because they're not, but hey, they're a more viable team with Joe Burrow, one of the 5 best players in the NFL, back in the lineup. Like, why not? Like, I'm excited to just watch them down the stretch. Not that, again, they're not going to make the playoffs or anything, but I'm excited to watch them because they're just a different team with one of the best players back.
All right, let's look at the next grouping because obviously it gets us to Shador. Got to talk about them. The Commanders at 25, the Browns at 26, the Giants 27, the Cardinals at 28. I often say that taking on the Raiders defense right now is like me going up against Kobe in his prime and one-on-one in a gym. And then, by the way, somebody like, I don't know, lops off my leg right before the matchup. That's how bad the Raiders defense is. That being said, the Browns get the 49ers on a short week after a physical game against Carolina. Could Shador shock the world and do it again?
Yeah, why not? I mean, the 49ers defense has been very up and down. Let's not forget they almost gave up 500 yards a couple weeks ago against an Arizona team that didn't have a starting quarterback, starting running back, or its number 1 receiver. Like, it's still not a good defense, regardless of how they played last night. So I do think Shador, like, he's going to face a very good defensive coach in Robert Saleh. Robert Saleh is one of the best defensive coordinators in the NFL, and he's going to get a head coaching job pretty soon here. He's doing a lot. He's cooking a gourmet meal with some ingredients from the 7-Eleven down the street, right? Like this defense just is not the same without Bosa and Warner, but he's getting the most out of that unit, and he's going to scheme up some things for Shador. Shador absolutely deserved a second start. He did enough in that start against the Raiders. I don't. Yes, it's against the Raiders, but you looked at it, you said, okay, let's see it again. Let's see if this is something we could build on. I'm excited to see him. I can't lie. And I will say this. I'm going to credit everybody out there. The conversation about Shador Sanders was not that crazy on Sunday. I expected it to be, oh my goodness, Shador Sanders is going to win MVP the rest of the year. Fires Kevin Stefanski for not starting this guy early. Or the haters are going to be like, oh, Shador. But no, it was actually kind of reasoned of just like, oh, he played well. Let's see what he could do next week. So kudos to everybody for not losing your minds last week on the Shador Sanders topic, because usually people lose their minds when it comes to Shador.
That's the right approach. It was good. Take it at face value
right?
and then move
Yeah.
forward. Reason. Oh, we're lacking so much reason in our world. I am scared to go to the bottom four because it's a very scary place in the
So is
bottom
Fitz,
of
by
the
the way.
NFL,
Yeah,
the
so is
depths of
Fitz.
the
Yeah.
NFL.
What's it take to
Yeah.
get to the
Yeah.
bottom of this
Shit.
thing, Frank? What the hell are you doing?
I
Put me in the
almost
bottom
did
where I
it.
belong.
Throw Fitz
I
a bone
almost
here.
did it.
The
I
Raiders
did.
can't even be good at being bad.
I did almost. I did almost switch those two on the doc I was working on, and because I said I have not seen a team play worse than the Raiders have the past few weeks. The Titans have actually been kind of semi-competitive the last few games. Like they not that they were really competitive against the Seahawks, but they got in for a backdoor cover for those who dabble. They've played the Chargers tough. They played the Texans tough. Like it's at least the Titans are showing some signs of life where the Raiders have none, but the Raiders do have one more win and did beat the Titans head to head. So I couldn't do it yet. But again, I talked about this on Inside Coverage yesterday. Firing Chip Kelly, whatever you want to do, fine. You fired a special teams coach, fine, whatever. Pete Carroll, your son is the coach of the worst offensive line of football. Like if we're gonna like ignore nepotism, we do need to call it out when it really blows up in someone's face. Pete Carroll took this job, I think, in part to get his two sons a job on the staff. And that's fine. Good. I want the best for my daughter, too. I understand wanting to do that as a dad. But when your son is coaching the worst offensive line in football and other guys are losing their jobs as a result, yeah, you need to get called out for that because that's terrible. This Raiders team has just there's nothing there. Like it is so it's so much worse. And it takes a lot for me to say this. It's so much worse than it even was under Josh McDaniels, and definitely worse than it was under Antonio Pierce. And I never saw that coming. I never thought we'd be sitting here by Thanksgiving saying, man, Pete's been worse than Antonio Pierce was. Maybe they should just kept Antonio for another year. That's how bad it's been. It is really, really bad for the Raiders. And I'm sorry, Fitz. I love you, brother. But man, it has to. This has got to be a season from hell to watch this team actually get worse. When they were supposed to get, and I kept talking about this, like, okay, you're trying to get better and your ceiling is a really feisty last place team. Good for you. But I did expect them to get better. Like I expected them to be more competitive. And every week they're just getting blasted by the Browns of the world. The Cowboys came in and just, this is just awful football they're playing.
Worst season I've ever watched in my life, and that includes Jamarcus Russell. There we go. You can check out his power rankings. Yahoo, obviously. Follow him at Yahoo Schwab. Get out there and let him know exactly how perfect his rankings were, because that's all anybody
Hi,
does.
Chicago.
How perfect they were.
Hi, Bears fans.
Oh, Bears fans, get your boy. All right, Frank, appreciate you. See you next week where, maybe next week you'll do the right thing and put the Raiders at the bottom of this. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate you. Great
Thank you, Frank.
as always.
Appreciate you.
We'll take a look here at the recap. The Rams, number 1. The Titans, 32. The biggest risers, the Cowboys and Falcons, both up 3. The Cardinals and the Eagles, the biggest faller, down 4. Caroline, I do think, it'll be interesting to see what he does with the Ravens. He's given a lot of love to, haven't necessarily looked at, and what he does with the Bears. Like, Bears fans, if you want to add him, they have the chance to prove him wrong this week against the Eagles.
There are a lot of teams that have opportunities to prove it, that either we are not who we were early in the season or we are who we've been all year and you just haven't been paying attention to us. So I think Thanksgiving and this Thanksgiving weekend is the perfect opportunity for the Bears, for the Texans, for so many teams that are kind of right on the bubble but have an opportunity to break through. And I think Frank was right with the risers and the fallers. Look, the Cowboys getting their due and the Eagles getting, paying the price for losing that game, blowing a 21-0 lead to the Cowboys. I think that's right. Like, the Cowboys are getting the credit and the Eagles, rightfully so, are down 4 spots. Doesn't mean they can't find their way back up, but that's how bad that loss was.
Well, and one of the most important things Frank said in that entire segment is that we are so week to week in the way that we react to everything in the NFL. And I just don't think you can be. I think in the modern NFL, you got to look at things in 3 and 4 week blocks. It's much more difficult to do. It's not as hot takey, but it gives you a more accurate representation of where teams actually are if we look at 3 or 4 week blocks. So when we see Shedeur against the 49ers, it's just another piece of evidence that can lead us towards getting the final answer. But the great thing is we don't have to have the answer right away.